Hi everyone, let's see the new topic language learning and acquisition. So in our today's video we are going to discuss about language, and the next topic we will see what is acquisition and learning, and then Indian language families, then characteristics of in languages. Then next is Noam Chomsky's views about the language we will discuss. First, let's see what is the language. A language is a structured system of communication. The structure of a language is its grammar, and the free components are its vocabulary. Languages are the primary means of communication of humans and can be conveyed through speech, sign, or writing. Many languages, including the most widely spoken ones, have written systems that enable sounds or signs to be recorded for later reactivation. Human language is not dependent on a single mode of transmission, that is sight and sound, etc., and is highly variable between cultures and across time. So here the language, whatever language we are using, it can be a Hindi, it can be a Kannada, it can be a Tamil, it can be a Bengali, whatever it will be. First we are using the languages for a means of communication. Without language we cannot communicate. Even though if we know the different language and the opposite, those with whom we are talking, if they are talking in a different language, then too we cannot understand. So for that we are using the signs. So here the language is based on the two components. First is grammar and second is vocabulary. For making the sentence we need the grammar, and for making the sentence completely we need the vocabulary. So it's different, the different cultural people are having their own languages. Like in our India we are having more than 1600 plus languages the people are using in India. So we can't learn all those 1600 plus languages, but we can understand some of the words with the help of the actions also. So let's see what is acquisition and learning. The acquisition is the non-conscious assimilation of a language, mainly through the first-hand exposure. So here the acquisition is nothing but it will be there in the environment. Like when the child will be small, at the time at the age of 2 years maybe, from the 2 years the child start making the sentences. But for that language we have not to teach them the grammar, we have not taught them the all rules and regulations of the language, but the child can tell that properly and without doing any mistake at the age of 3 to 4 years. But here for the second and third language we have to teach them the grammar, we have to tell them the rules and regulations of the languages. Why it's happening? Because the child have acquired or acquisition was happened in the childhood, because the child have not learned that, but he acquired from the environment, from his family. Whatever mother is using the language, the child can acquire that same language from her mother or his mother. So acquisition is nothing but if the child is acquiring something from the family or the environment, that is called as an acquisition. The next is learning involved in acquiring a language through formal instruction and conscious comprehension. So here when the child is learning the language, at the time they have to know the grammar, they have to know the rules of the language, all such things the child have to Learning is different, acquiring it is different. For acquiring, the child will not do any kind of like hard work, or just they are acquiring from the environment. It's a natural process. But when the child started learning, they have to learn it as it is. Okay, so here the difference between the acquisition and the learning. So basically we are talking about the English language. So in Indian context, the second English is this considered as a second language. So here the child is learning the language, not acquiring the English language. So the Indian languages families, mainly we are having the 4 Indian languages families. First is Indo-European. In this Indo-European, Hindi, Gujarati or English language will come. Then next Indo-Aryan. In this Bengali, Marathi, Punjabi, all such languages will come. Indo-European matlab those who come from the Europe and they settle down here, and they have mixed some Indian language also in their language. So mixture of Indian and the European languages are called as an Indo-European languages here. Indo-Aryan, the Aryans, those who came from the Central Asia, they have mixed the Indian languages and they are start speaking. That is called as an Indo-Aryan languages. That is Bengali, Marathi, Punjabi, etc. Then Dravidian language, whatever languages are languages are spoken in the South India, like Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam, etc. Then next, Tibeto-Burma. In this northeast states will include in this, and the languages like Manipur, Himalayaish, etc. will come under this. So if the question will ask like the English belongs to which family of Indian language, then we have to write Indo-European language family. The next is characteristics of language. Language is a means of communication. As we all know that the language is playing very important role for the communication. If we can't, if we think that without language can we communicate, we can communicate with the sign languages also. But for we cannot communicate much as while using the language we can. So the language is playing a very important role in the communication. The next language is social phenomena. So language is need for a society. So that's why it's a social phenomenon. Like we cannot survive in the today's world or today's society without the language. We can't imagine even. Next is language is symbolic and dynamic. Language is symbolic, like we are having symbols, like for A we are having a particular symbol, and for B we are having some particular symbol. Like that, it's a symbolic. By these symbols we can read and we can identify the words. But it's a dynamic because it's changing from in our day-to-day life. We are using so many new English terms we are using, and there are lots of English terms are including nowadays in the dictionaries also. So it's a dynamic, it's changing daily, and we are having the symbols for the language. Language is complex, as we all know. For a child can learn till the 6 years. They are having the capacity to learn language till the year 6. But after that, they cannot learn the language as much easily as they can learn in the age gap between 2 to 6 years. So it's a complex task to teach our children a new language, that is second or third language. It can be English or any other language also. Then next is we can see the Noam Chomsky's view or his LAD device also we will discuss here. Language acquisition device, that is LAD. So Noam Chomsky is telling that we are having a device in our mind which can give us where we can acquiring the knowledge, and there only we are storing the language, there only we are storing the vocabulary also related to the particular language. So here the LED language acquisition device will be there in the left side of the brain. You can keep it in your mind like L for left and L for language. So the language is coming in the left side of the brain. We are having the device called language acquisition device in the left side of our brain, and there only whatever vocabulary we are acquiring, that all, or we are learning whatever things we are learning, that we are storing in that device only in the left side of our brain. The next, transformative grammar. So all grammar means here if the child is living in the USA, for him we no need to teach the grammar for English language. Anyhow they can make it correct only, because the child acquired the knowledge or acquired the language from his childhood days. But here if the Indian child will be there, then we have to teach them the rules, regulation, grammar, all the things of the languages, but that too they cannot talk it in a proper way. They cannot use it in a proper way. So here they are telling that only, for the first language we don't need to teach the grammar to the children, but for the second language it must be there, we have to teach the grammar for the second and third language.